today we're going to do the law of logic, the first day of it. The process of drawing conclusions using logical reasoning is called deductive reasoning. So you're told that Mike or John is going to take Sarah to the Valentine's Day dance, but you're also told that Mike is not taking her. So what conclusion could you make? If Mike is not going to take her, then John is going to take Sarah to the dance. So what you've just used here is something called the law of disjunctive inference. And that law basically says if you're given a disjunction and it's true, and one of the statements of the disjunction is false, then the other statement has to be true. So symbolically, what we're going to say here is we're going to deal with M for Mike, disjunction, Mike or J for John is taking Sarah to the dance. And we know that Mike is not taking her, negate M. Well, then what we can conclude here, come on, go up. And then what we can conclude here is therefore John must be the one taking her to the dance. The way this works in a proof would be something like this. Again, they give you some given statements. We'll have to put them in symbolic form. And they ask you to prove something. So the given statements are Sarah or Michelle is going to play tennis today. So for given, symbolically, we might as well use the initials again. Let's say S or M, Sarah or Michelle. We're also given that Michelle is not playing tennis, so negate M. We're asked to prove that Sarah is. The way you're going to start off your proof is you're going to look at what it is that you're trying to prove. And we're trying to prove the single letter of S. And if we sort of connect the dots here, the single letter S gets paired up in the givens with the other single letter of S, which is here. We see S is related to the letter M, and then M is related to the negate M. And then we have no more givens to look at. So where you're going to start your proof is with that negate M or that single letter. So what happens is you write your first statement that you know is that negate M is true. Why do you know that that's true? Because you were told that because it was given to you. So then you use that first given. You could check it off if you'd like. And then you say, well, from that single letter, I can't conclude anything. So I go back to my givens and I say, oh, I've got S or M. Well, how do I know S or M is true? Again, for the simple reason that it was given to you. Well, there's no more givens left. So you should be able to look for some sort of deductive reasoning here, some logical reasoning. And you can say, if I have a disjunction, S or M, which I know is true, and I'm also knowing that not M is also a true statement, then I must have to conclude that S must be the true part. How do I know S is true? And here's where you would write law of disjunctive, oopsie, sorry about that, inference. And the reason why I knew that I was using that law or where I got that law from is because lines 1 and 2 led me to that conclusion. The more proofs you get, the longer, the more steps you have, and that's why writing the numbers, the reasons to why you got that answer, is going to be very necessary. So you will have to write the number lines. Okay, let's see if we can try another one. So now you are told if Tom plays for the New York Yankees, then he plays baseball. You're also told that Tom plays for the New York Yankees. Well, what conclusion can you make? Tom must play baseball. This now is a conditional that you are given. So we're going to talk about the law of detachment. So when you're given a conditional, if-then, if a conditional is true and its hypothesis is true, then its conclusion must also be true. Law of detachment should make sense when I show you some symbols. Why don't we say for Tom playing baseball, let's do T for Tom plays for the Yankees, and then B for baseball. And then Tom plays for the New York Yankees. Again, we're going to keep that as T. So what we would say then is if Tom plays baseball, if Tom plays for the New York Yankees, then he plays baseball. You know that that's a fact. You also know for sure that Tom plays baseball. Well, therefore, what you conclude is that by the law of detachment, Tom must play baseball. Okay, so if a conditional is true and its hypothesis is true, if T then B is true and T is true, then what you're basically doing, because these guys are the same, you're going to detach off the back. Okay, so there's your second law, law of detachment. Here's a proof. You've got this proof. You should notice that you do happen to have a disjunction. So you're probably going to, well, not probably, you're going to have to use disjunctive inference in your proof. And you have a conditional. So right now you're going to be using detachment in your proof as well. It wants you to prove R. If you start playing the game about where do I start from, the letter R in the proof joins to the letter R in the given. The letter R in the given is attached to the T. The other T in the given goes up top to the first given. That letter T is attached to a negate W, and finally you get down to the single letter W. That's probably where you want to start, that single letter. So I know that W is true as a statement, and I know it's true because it was given to me. Done. Used it. Well, what relates to the W? What relates is going to be the disjunction. I also know that T or not W is true. Why do you know that? Because it was given to you. Well, if T or not W is true, and plain old W is true, then I know for sure that what I have to figure out is then T must be the true statement, and that would be because I use the disjunctive inference. And I'm going to sort of shortcut that and just call it disjunctive inference. I didn't write law of this time, that's okay, but I do write that it came from lines 1 and 2. So in terms of givens, we happen to use the single W here, and we happen to use that guy. Well, now I'm left with this single letter. What am I going to do with it? Well, I have another given. So I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to use my last given. If T, then R. It's a conditional. It's given. And I'm out of givens, and then I'm going to say, all right, well, can I do anything else? And the answer would be yes, because if you have, extend, if you, there we go, too much, sorry folks. If you have a conditional if T then R, and the hypothesis T is true, and I know that for sure from my single letter, then I can very easily detach off the back. If T then R is true, and T is true, I can detach off R. This becomes the law of detachment. And I got that from using the lines of 3 and 4. That is it. You're all set. So you should be able to do your homework. That's it. See you later.